Managing contacts. In this video, we'll learn how to manage large amounts of contacts in your CRM. To get to the Manage Contacts panel, we first need to go to the CRM. Then we proceed to Contacts List and into the Manage Contacts menu. This page has two main elements. First is the Contact Selection panel. In here, we're able to choose specific selectors to include or exclude contacts that will be affected by our actions. Let's say, for example, we want all contacts that are monitored as well as contacts that have opened one of our emails. However, we want to exclude all contacts that have an opt-out status. Then, we can count to see how many contacts are on this list. We can also use custom filtering, which provides us with some more advanced options. Let's go through the possible actions in this panel. First, we have the Change Contact Opt-in, Opt-out state. Here is very straightforward. We can choose to change manually the opt-in and opt-out state of each contact. This specific action is for changing the status for receiving or not receiving newsletters. Next is the Add Remove Contact Owner. If your account has multiple users, this will help you manage the contacts and get them to the appropriate owner. We can choose to assign the contacts to a main owner, or remove the contacts from a certain owner if they have more than one. The Sales Stages actions allows us to assign all of these contacts into a specific stage in a specific funnel. We can also remove these contacts from a certain funnel if they are on a specific stage. The Add or Delete Contacts tag is very commonly used. Here, we can mark these contacts that we have selected with specific tag or tags. However, do make sure that each tag is separated by a comma and a space. We can also assign a tag from a specific contact detail, essentially converting a custom detail into a tag. We can also choose to delete the tag. In the next option, we can choose to identify the gender of each contact based on their name. Keep in mind, however, this only applies to names from Poland, Czech Republic, or Hungary, as these languages have a certain rule to all female names where they end in a specific letter. This allows us to assign a tag depending on which gender the contact has. Up next, we have the option to change the contact state. Here we can change whether the selected contacts will be changed to a prospect, client, or a partner. Next, we have the option to add or delete a contact detail. In here, we can only add one detail at a time with a specified value, or choose to delete a pre-existing detail. Up next, we're able to insert a defined address. If we have a defined address template made in our account, we'll be able to assign this address to each of the selected contacts. Moving to the right side. The change contact valid invalid state is there to either restore or mark the contacts as invalid. This is good if you know for a fact that certain contacts no longer wish to be contacted or are no longer valid before we send out a newsletter. The Run Rule menu is there to manually activate an automation rule for all the contacts on our list. We have to select Run a chosen rule, specify which rule we are activating, at which point we have an option of whether or not we want the rule's conditions to be checked, or if we simply want to run the action for the rule. Up next, we have the Delete or Undelete contact menu. This one is quite easy. Here we can choose to either delete or restore one of the contacts that are marked for deletion. Next action is the Generate Coupon menu. In here, we can generate a coupon and assign it to the contact card of every single contact that we have selected. We can also ascribe how long each of these coupons is valid. Up next, we have a familiar menu. We can change the contact opt-in and opt-out state. However, this opt-out change is specific for the phone opt-in and opt-out status. Up next, we can add a note that can be set to either private or public between users to be visible for anybody using Salesman Echo. Up next, we have the Generate Links menu. In here, we can choose to generate a tracking link for each of these contacts. We do so by creating an Excel file that has a link mapped to each of the contacts. First, we have to set a destination of our link. Then we can choose whether or not we want to use the original link or a shortened link URL, as well as choosing whether we want to use Google or Post as a provider. Lastly, we want to specify where exactly we can find the file in the system in the content repository. We can also, as with most exports, set the file as private so it cannot be used by other users. Lastly, the Set Score option allows us to change the general contact scoring for each of these contacts. Keep in mind, we can combine each of these actions if we want to have more than one action running at the same time for these contacts. Once we have selected the settings that we want, we can proceed to click on Perform Actions to proceed with all the actions we have selected. For more information, you can visit our webpage at support.salesmanago.com.